And good morning, everyone. Welcome to our third Kidstock at Home performance, coming to you live from Edmonds Center for the Arts. I'm Joe McElwain, the Executive Director here at ECA, and on behalf of our boards of directors, staff, and volunteers, thank you for joining us for this live-streamed concert featuring Peter Ali and Swil Kanim. I want to begin by acknowledging that we are standing on the traditional, culture-rich indigenous homelands of the Coast Salish tribes. We honor and celebrate the Coast Salish, who represent a large collection of many tribes with distinct cultures and languages that have been stewards of this land and sea for 14,000 years. It is with great humility that we recognize and pay our respect to elders past and present. Kidstock at Home is made possible with generous support from the Hazel Miller Foundation, Nancy Bittner, Edmonds Arts Festival Foundation, Edmonds Arts Commission, Edmonds Diversity Commission, Edmonds Bookshop, and the First Financial Northwest Bank. Thanks to all of them for their great support. I'd also like to thank our seasoned sponsors. They are Linwood Honda and Windermere Real Estate Edmonds, who have been with us for 7 years, as well as Rick Steves Europe and the City of Edmonds for all of their generous support. Peter Ali is a talented and self-taught native flutist, creating his music not from notes, but from spirit within. So each performance is unique and special. He plays a variety of native flutes and shares stories of his rich ethnic heritage. Swil Kanim is a U.S. Army veteran, storyteller, actor, classically trained violinist, and a member of the Lummi Nation. For many years, he has traveled up and down the West Coast playing violin and telling stories at schools, community events, and festivals. Both artists here were featured in a performance for the Dalai Lama in the Seeds of Compassion event in Seattle in 2008. And Edmonds Center for the Arts is honored to welcome these performers to the Kidstock at Home series. Please be sure to visit our website to find out about our upcoming education and outreach events, including a free screening of Jabari Dreams of Freedom on March 13th at 2 p.m. in partnership with Arts in Action, the Edmonds School District, and the Communities of Color Coalition. We also have an upcoming virtual after-school magic camp with Kevin Spencer for students of all abilities ages 7 to 15. Please visit ec4arts.org for more information to register and to apply for our scholarship program. Kidstock at Home would not be possible without the support and enthusiasm of all of you at home. To support Kidstock and our local artists, please visit ec4arts.org, click on the donate button, and make a contribution of any size that is meaningful to you. We miss welcoming you here so much to the theater in person, but we're grateful to know that you're all at home tuning in and showing your support for this digital programming. Thank you all very much. And please join me now in welcoming very warmly Peter Ali and Swil Kanim. Thank you both.
And the crowd goes wild. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. I guess we'll start. Hey, Peter, pull out a flute. Let's play a song. It's been a year since I've been on a stage, so this is pretty darn exciting for me. I'm really happy that I could do this. I've been waiting my whole year for an opportunity like this. This is really exciting. Are you excited?
I'm terribly excited. Same here.
Okay,
It's been
all
about
right.
a year.
I'm ready. Let's go. I'm sorry, Peter.
Swil Kanim.
I know you've been working really hard on like performing and everything, and I just totally blew. I'm just really sorry.
Hey, man.
That I did that, man. I was like that threw the whole thing off, and I know I just won't even play the drum. You just go ahead and play the drum.
No. Just pick up the beat.
You mean just like keep going?
Yeah.
Don't quit?
No quit.
I'll look for the next opportunity to get back on track. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
let's do it.
exactly. Let's try it again. Good job.
Thanks, man.
Good job.
I think I learned how to make a mistake right there.
It's okay.
Yeah, just look for the next opportunity to get back on track. Do you have another flute that you want to play, or tell me about the flute you just played? What was that?
Well, the flute I just played is, of course, is shaped as a bird, and it's a loon. It's cut in the loon. It's a contemporary Native American style flute, and made out of cedar, and it was in the key of F sharp. Although I don't read music, I taught myself how to play.
Well, how do you know it's an F sharp then?
Oh, it's written on the bottom.
Oh, I see. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's the traditional flutes sound a little bit different. These are contemporary because they're in Western scale.
Oh, I
so
see.
they're kind of like a recorder. If you've ever played a recorder, they're kind of similar. Yeah, and they have 5 to 6 holes. And I just taught myself how to play.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, all these have different sounds, and even a few of them from different places.
So, what one do you want to play next?
Well, gosh, I'm gonna play this one. This is a Woodland style flute. The first flute I played is a plain style flute. The Woodland people are the people from the southeast part of the United States, and this was gifted to me by a good friend who's actually an Army veteran, and he's actually a Vietnam vet, who's Cherokee and Choctaw, and so it's got a very bright sound, and it's in the key of B if you're a music person. So I'm going to play a song.
Okay, cool. crowd goes wild
And the
again.
crowd goes wild.
So do you want to play a song while I tell a story? Do you want to play a flute while I tell a story?
That would be awesome. I would love.
I like stories and I like to tell stories, so go ahead,
You
pick
are
out a
a
flute.
storyteller.
I
Let's
am a
see here.
storyteller.
I think this one.
Okay. What key is that one in?
This one is in the key of A.
Okay, that's
Is that gonna work?
yeah, that's perfect. Are you ready?
Gonna fill it full of air. Okay.
A time ago, there was a tree. A big tree. No, we're talking a huge tree that was once an itty bitty little seedling. It survived that first winter. It learned how to bend with the wind. Seasons would come and go, years would go by. Eventually, children would play underneath the tree, and they would grow up, and their children would play underneath the tree, and they'd grow up, and their children would play underneath the tree. Little itty-bitty songbirds built purty little nests in the highest branches of the tree so they could peek over the edge of the nest and sing their purty little songbird songs. And they went something like this. Chirp! Chirp! Squirrels would run up and down the tree for no apparent reason. Someone put a swing on a branch so everyone could feel the summer breeze right along with that tree, until one winter the northeaster was just too much and the tree fell. A man walked by. His name was Ray Bastine. He looked at that tree and he said, "You know, I think there's a violin inside that tree." So with his magic hands, he reached inside and he pulled out a violin, because that is what he was created to be, a violin maker. He made violins to be played at sacred moments in special places like this. What makes this a sacred moment? What makes this a special place? It's your choice and my choice. For how could I hope for a sacred life if I can't hold a single moment as sacred? How can I love all of creation if I forget about the trees all around us, holding the sky up for us? Now, the rest of that tree, it made toilet paper. This is the tree that Ray Bastine found for you and for me. If you look at it closely, you can see that there are lines in the grain of the wood. Every line in the grain of the wood is a symbol of a winter survived. You see, even trees make their mark during the toughest of times. Even trees make their mark during the toughest of times. think my violin's mad at me because it's realizing, or it's helping me to remember that this isn't Ray Bastien's violin. His apprentice, Dorothy Smith, was living in Italy, in Cremona, Italy, where Stradivarius violins were made. And when she was there, she heard that the computers have determined, because computers were new back in 1982, and these computers had determined that they would never, ever be able to make a Stradivarius type violin ever. So she realized that the price of the old wood from Italy dropped down. And she bought these big, huge suitcases and she filled them up with those old wood from Cremona, Italy. And then she brought it to the United States, thinking that someday, even though she learned how to make violins in Italy, that if she worked on her skills, she would make a violin that's worthy of that. And so she came, and with those suitcases, she brought them here, and then she held them until her skill got good enough. This is the first performance in public of that violin. This violin has wood that's the oldest wood I've ever seen in a violin, and from Italy. Maple and spruce, and then she made a very special stain from the heart of a cedar tree, because I'm Coast Salish. To us, the cedar tree is a very special tree, and she took from the core of that cedar tree the pigment of that, and that's why it's stained. It looks kind of like a cedar stain, but she also took clay from Oklahoma, and she worked that into the stain. And this violin is a very special violin. She knew Ray Bastien. She worked with him. She studied violin making with him. And she made a violin that's even better than the original Tree Story violin.
That's the new one?
This is the new one.
Oh, this is the first time I've heard it.
Yeah, this is the first time you're going to hear this piece. And I know that was fun to play that Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and all that kind of stuff, bad and out of tune. But this is a piece called Abordon Dante. It's about the tempo that a tree gives you, because every branch in a tree is like a pendulum, and they'll give you a beat to a song, and our job is to just play along. And so this is a piece I wrote called Abordon Dante, and it celebrates the life of a tree. It feels good to play the violin. It really does. And I felt good to play that with you, and thank you for playing the drum with me in that one. That was really an honor.
Thank you so much, Swil Kanim. You know, it gives me chills.
Yeah.
And to hear that new violin.
Yeah.
And the story behind it.
Well, I mean, I think about, every violinist has to overcome their thoughts about themselves. And every violin maker, sometimes they have to overcome the thoughts that other people have of them. Because there was a time when people would think that a woman could never make a violin. But this is proof, right? This is Dorothy Smith is one of the most amazing people I've ever met, and made a violin that is perfect for my style of playing, perfect for me. And every violinist dreams of a moment where they could play an instrument of this kind of quality, and I'm so happy for it.
That's
and
awesome.
The sister to this violin is coming out pretty soon, and she's working on that right now at Allegro Strings up in Bellingham.
That's awesome.
It's going to be beautiful. So do you want to play a piece together with the flute and the violin?
Yes.
Why don't we try? Do you have a chamber flute? Do you have a double chamber flute?
I do, but the one that we use all the time is A, and I don't know what the other side is.
Right.
But the blocks are
Yeah.
constantly loose on them.
Oh.
And so I have it. It's here with me, but
What one do you have that's... what
this
keys
one
it?
is the double chamber.
Yeah.
This is C sharp, F sharp.
Ooh, that's going to be fun.
It sounds
Let's try
complicated.
it.
It sounds complicated.
It is going to be complicated, but you know what? This is going to be just like we practiced. Right?
Okay, I hope
my,
so.
my fingers know how to play the violin, right? And your fingers know how to play the flute.
They do.
And let's see if we can make
A
music.
little rusty, though, but-
let's find your lowest note on the flute.
lowest note?
Yeah, and that'll...
For both sides?
Yeah. The... That was interesting.
Thank you. Yes, that was different. We have never tried these two instruments together before. And for our audience, this is a Toltec style flute. It's a double chambered flute. So it has double key. And for those that are interested in sound waves, it's in 432nd hertz. And for me, these instruments are all about healing. And so as well as being a part of my ancestry. but I wanted to mention, as far as healing goes, in so many ways, I'm a cancer survivor of 12 years, and these were really, how should I say, fundamental as far as my healing and in going through that whole process. I was treated actually over at Providence here in Everett, or close by, and that was 12 years ago. And I was able to take my instruments in and play while I was going through chemo. And so in the spirit of, you can, like you say, when you were playing the drum and the violin, anybody out there, you can. Anybody can play these instruments. You have the ability to do so. You're breathing, and that's the start. And so, and what a joy it is to be able to take something like this, that was a tree, and then you mentioned your tree story, and to have the honor to blow your breath, your life through this, and honor that tree and bring it to life again. So thank you, Swil Kanim.
When I hear the word heal, I'm reminded that the definition of is to be made whole again, right? And I believe that through the music in your life and the music in my life, I've been able to heal from my sadness, from my childhood, and from all the things. I've been able to heal because I feel whole with the community. I feel complete, and I feel like I'm a part of my community through my music. When I finish a piece and people applaud, I feel their energy in that applause, and I feel like I'm a part of the community with them as they do that. And I'm looking out here at the empty seats, and I'm reminded of what an elder once told me when I was doing a concert and it looked like nobody was showing up, and I was like, nobody loves me anymore, and there's nobody here. And the elder said to me, you know, every empty seat is filled by the spirit of your ancestors. And then I remembered, and I still remember now, like playing that piece with you just right now, that there's the potential for harmony, and there's the potential for playing with life and being in harmony with the past and the present and the future, and that's a beautiful gift to have, and it heals me. So music helped heal you. And is there any one of these flutes here that you were playing back when you were learning how to play the flute?
Well, I still have my first flute. I didn't bring it with me today. Actually, I got it. And there's a story behind it, of course. I was living in Paulsbo at the time, but the flute maker is a gracious family. They're on the peninsula, and it was an F-sharp flute. And at that time, I was going through some real struggles. And instead of turning to drugs or going down the path of alcoholism, I chose to use music as a way to help me get through that time. And that helped me in that moment in history, and maybe other things as well. And so that was a real bonus, I think. So, yeah, definitely.
Why don't you pick a flute, any flute?
Let's see. Did I see? I already played this one. And I think I'll do Raven. Usually when we have a live audience, I hold my Raven flute up. And I ask, first of all, I ask, hey, do you recognize the bird? And so maybe some people kind of figure it out and go, they say it's a hawk or an eagle. I say, no, it's raven. And it's a Tlingit style carving. But what does Raven have in his beak? And I let the young people kind of guess at that. Could be a stone or a rock. But actually, this is based on a children's story that I heard from my friend Gene Tagaban. And it's actually the sun. And the carving is based on the Tlingit story, How Raven Stole the Sun. And I was inspired. I heard the story, but I was inspired to get this flute. So I think we'll play Raven.
Wait. I was over here looking at these notes.
Is there
questions? I see a statement that I think we have to read out loud. And that was Katie Newbaum said, as a fellow cancer survivor, I am in awe.
Oh,
that's beautiful.
Wow.
I love to hear that.
Wow.
That makes me inspired inside, that we're helping people.
That's
connect.
really, thank you for sharing that.
We are connected to that story, and we are connected to what you've overcome, and we're connected. We are just connected, and we need more connection in this world.
I know.
With what's going on.
I totally agree with you.
Because that allows for compassion and passion
empathy
art.
and
So,
art and music and all of that.
so I don't want to interrupt you again, but go ahead.
Feel free to anytime,
All right.
Swil Kanim.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. That's lovely.
Thank you very much, Swil Kanim. Thank you.
I love listening to your music. It means so much to me to just be at peace. You know?
Yes.
When I think about how important it is to play music, I'm reminded of when I was a kid. But like I'm reminded of when I was a kid. I had an older sibling. You kids out there, you probably, some of you have siblings, some of you don't. But I gotta tell you that my siblings, they used to pick on me and they'd make me feel all grumpy. And I'd play the violin and I'd be so angry. I'd just go. And I realized the music changed my feelings. That I was angry, but then the beautiful music, it would change my feelings. And I realized that there was a connection between music and feelings. Like you were playing you told your story, you played your music, and you inspired a connection to our community through love, the love of yourself and the love of music. You've been able to connect people with that. And that's a really good thing. Well, I can connect to my feelings. And I realized that there's probably songs out there for every feeling. I was like, what if I found the happiest song in the world? No matter how I felt, if I played that happy song, I would feel happy. And so I found it. And my elders say it's a transformation song because it transforms you from sad to happy. So before you play a transformation song, you have to ask permission. And so Peter, is it all right if I play this transformation song for you?
Swil Kanim, I would love to have you play this
Okay,
transformation
good.
song
This
for
is a
me.
transformation song for Peter, Ali, and if you want to try, to be sad while I play this song, and then you just stick out your bottom lip like this. Just like, yeah, grumpy. You can cross your arms if you want to. Yeah, there you go. Okay, just try and be sad while I play this song. Okay, you ready?
I'm sorry, I can't be sad.
You can't be sad while you play that song. That's a transformation song. It's the happiest song in the world. And whenever I play that song, I feel really happy. And then I realize that there's probably other songs. Like people want to feel feelings when they hear music. And I thought, what would be fun if I could feel scared? And when I was a little kid, this is before Fandango or Netflix or the internet even, there was this movie that came out. It was called Jaws. It was about a shark in the water, and the shark eats people. It was really scary. And I remember that when they first released that movie, they did it without the movie soundtrack, the music that goes along with the movie.
Yeah.
And it was like, people were like, this movie's stupid, just don't go in the water, I don't get it. But then John Williams wrote the soundtrack to that movie, and he made it really scary. And so, if you don't want to be scared while I play this, just think your happy thought.
Just think of the Baby Shark song.
Yeah, you can think of Baby Shark.
I don't know.
Yeah, that would work. But this is the theme. This is the theme to that movie. It's called Jaws. Whatever you do, think your happy thought. I can't think my happy thought because while I'm playing this because of that music. I can't play one song and think of another song while I play the violin. That's just too much. So what I do is I think of milk duds. And that makes me, so whenever there's a scary movie happening, I always think of milk duds, and it makes my mouth water. Whatever you do, don't think about the shark in the water about to eat you. Whatever you do. Just great, and I was thinking about the shark in the water, and I was thinking of milk duds, and then for some reason when I looked at you, I thought of saltwater taffy, and salt waters where sharks live, and then I got scared. I know.
There we go. Now we're happening.
Okay,
that was better.
So music helps me feel my feelings, and I think that's really important. We got to be able to do that. Come up with a good way to feel our feelings. Do you have another
I
flute
do, as
you
a
want
matter
to
of
play?
fact.
Okay, what do you want to
I
play?
have one that it's got a little bit of a story behind it, and so I'll tell that story. So when I was announced earlier on my background, my ethnic background, I have to say that yes, I am the son of immigrants, although I do have ancestors that lived on the continent long time ago and such. I have a father who is from Morocco, and that's in North Africa. And I went there as a kid, and I met my grandparents, and I couldn't speak to them because I didn't speak the language, but they did. My cousins all spoke Spanish, so I can speak Spanish, so I was able to communicate with them. As you may or may not know, Morocco had been colonized by the Spanish and the French, so they speak a variety of languages there. But my grandfather played a flute called the nai, which is a very old instrument. It goes back to the days of the pharaohs, and they have found copies of the instrument buried with the pharaohs, and some of them still play. So I have one like that, but they're really hard to play. So I have a flute. It's made by some friends that make Native American style flutes, but this is keyed in the Middle Eastern sound. It's the key of A. So when Swil Kanim talked about ancestors, anywhere I know I play, I know my ancestors are filling the room, and they're there with me as well. And so this one is, yeah, a little different, unique in its sound. So I hope that you'll like it. I think that's the first time I've ever had drum on this particular flute.
I just felt the desert air, and it felt really good to play that.
Thank you.
With it. It was beautiful.
It was very nice, and I think about my ancestors. Actually, my father shared with me that we're also Berber, and the Berber are the indigenous people of the North African continent and such, and also through southern Europe as well. And my father lived on a coastal town, and it was just, I would have to say, stone's throw across the Mediterranean from Spain and whatnot. And for history buffs, my father came over when he was 14 years old to the United States on the Andrea Doria, the famous Italian steamliner that was hit by the Swedish ship, the Stockholm, and she sunk, the Andrea Doria sunk. Anyways, he came over before that, fortunately, or I wouldn't be standing here. But anyway, some really great history on how this all came about, and that my grandfather being the flute player, and it's now in my genes. So when I play my instruments, and I don't read music, so how do you play? The tradition is you play from your heart. You play from your heart, and so I just play how I feel. And so for you, any musicians out there, or aspiring musicians, think about that. You know, when you're trying to learn how to play your instrument, just put your heart into it, no matter how old you are.
So, do you have you have another flute that we could play a piece together with?
I do.
On the violin? Which would you, A?
A.
Which one's that?
This one.
Okay, cool. Is there a story behind that one, or is that the loom?
No, this one's this is also a plains style flute, and I've had this guy for a while. It is a Lakota style flute from the Plains people. It's my favorite because I had it autographed by a person I met who's another musician, a singer. Her name is Buffy St. Marie. I know Buffy St. Marie.
Google Buffy St. Marie.
Buffy St. Marie. And she's First Nations in Canada, and she's a really great musician. So anyhow.
This is an A? If you're enjoying this music, can you imagine being the person actually playing it with Peter Ali? It just feels so good to play music with you especially after this difficult time away from each other, right?
Yes.
And it just means so much to me. I'm going to remember what got me through this year, and it was faith, hope, and love. Believe in the things unseen. Believe in faith and when I could believe that the virus is real, that wearing a mask really worked, and it did, and I got the shot. I got both of them a couple of weeks ago. I got my second one, and so I feel like I'm good to go, and I feel really happy about it. I'm still gonna wear my mask when I'm away from, and practice social distancing. Like, I want to hug you so bad right now, but I also know.
Me too, brother.
That time will come on another day, right? And that's a really good thing to know, that if we have faith, hope, and I hope to do that, and we love one another in that process, that's what's going to get us through these dark times, this pandemic. It's going to be our faith, hope, and love for one another. And I want to raise my hands in gratitude that I got to share the stage with you again, Peter Ali.
It's been a long time, Swil Kanim, and believe me, I appreciate it for all you out there. His good words and during these times, and to wear the mask, and yes, and the protocols that are in place. They're there for a reason, and I believe that this is a real thing that's happening, and people are getting sick and passing away, and it is a sad thing. It's a bummer. It's been kind of a bummer not being able to play for people and to play with people. And we've played together on many different things, before the pandemic, came, and it's just always a joy. It makes my heart sing. And so I have much gratitude to be up here.
First off, the name Sea Dog Steve, I just love that name. He said, "This is awesome. Peter and Swil Kanim are favorites. ECA is a fabulous community asset." I really appreciate that. And then Lupe saying that was beautiful, and I'll never take a little heart emoji for granted.
That's a big one.
That's a
big
really
heart,
good
Lupe.
thing to experience. And Katie saying,
yes, and Katie, thank you, Katie.
Changed my feeling. I really appreciate that. I'm thinking that's pretty cool.
Katie, thank you for reaching out to us. I have to say,
really, thank you, Katie.
and all the folks that are on there now.
I thank you, and my landlord thanks you, Katie, for reaching out to me. I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, and Peter thanks you, obviously.
Oh,
too.
yeah, so big time,
Yeah.
big time.
It's getting pretty close to
It
wrapping
is.
things up. What do you want to do with that?
Well, I just want to play a quick little song,
ahead.
and want to share it. It's part of, without going into the big stories and stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. But this instrument I'm going to play doesn't have any finger holes on it. And how am I connected to it?
Wow.
This guy right here is called the Willow Flute. And, it's not made out of willow. It's made out of PVC. But anyhow, this is an instrument that is
PVC as in like the plastic
like plastic
pipes?
pipe, yeah.
Wow.
So I've heard this instrument played on YouTube, and so I was interested in it, and I ordered one from a music store in Sweden, and actually it was the Norwegians that came up with it. But the connection that I might have to it is, and obviously I'm not Norwegian, but anyhow, I do have a Sami connection. The Sami are also known as the Laplanders, and the people that are taking care of the reindeer, the indigenous people in the Nordic countries. It's a known fact that the Vikings, of course, they've been all over the place, traded on the route in the Mediterranean, and they traded with the Berbers of Morocco. And so my grandfather was very fair, had fair eyes and a hair and whatnot. So, and I did some more research on it. So this instrument is played throughout the Nordic countries. And so I'll play a quick little tune.
So how do you change the note? I don't get it.
Well, you put your finger on the end, it changes the tonation, and if you blow hard, you get the high notes, and you blow not so hard, you get the lower notes. So I kind of had to teach myself how to play, and this is in the key of D, and really interesting flute. But in the old days, they would take the branch from the willow tree, and you could pull the bark off, and you'd have a hollow tube, and you could notch it in a certain way, and you'd have a flute. And it would only last you for a little bit because it would disintegrate. But anyhow, this one is made out of PVC and wrapped in birch bark. So
Wow, that is so cool.
So Kanim, do you have something as well?
I could tell my street performance story to close this all out if you want, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. And I wanted to say thank you really quick to everybody involved that helped put this on. All the folks out there that running the sound and the video equipment. We really appreciate it. My flutes are made by a variety of people, but I will tell you that locally, Stellar Flutes is one of the flutes that I use, my very first one, and they're located on the peninsula, so you can look them up on their stellarflutes.com. And Swil Kanim and I, at some point here before we close out, I guess we can, if you want to reach out to us, we can tell you as well.
Yeah, if you Google Native American violinist, I pop up, and you might even be able to play along with this story if you want. I'm gonna be right before the Amazing Grace story.
Oh, okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah. What key do you think? D.
Yeah.
D.
Yeah, it'd be a good one. It was a rainy Sunday at the Pike Place Market. I was about $300 short on rent, so I went down to the market grumpy because I needed $300 for rent. And it was a rainy Sunday. Those are too many strikes. Like having it be rainy and have it be Sunday, there's gonna be nobody at the market, and I was just gonna go through the motions, but I had nothing else I could do. The manager of the apartment complex told me if rent was late again this month, it'd be my last month there, so I was already thinking about how am I gonna come up with the first and last for the next place I was gonna live. But I went down there and I played anyway, from 10 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, because that's what the permit for the musicians permit at the Pike Place Market would allow. And they had these rules where if you play your violin there and you open up your case and you can play there for an hour, and if nobody comes to take your spot, then you can keep on playing. But if someone comes in to take your spot, then but I didn't have to worry about that because it was a rainy Sunday, and even all the street performers knew not to be there. So I played. My fingers started getting sore. I had calluses on my fingertips, and I could feel blisters forming underneath them, and it felt like toothpicks sticking up my fingernails. It hurt so much, but I kept on playing. And I realized that if I stopped, got circulation into my hands, it would make my hands hurt even more. So it actually hurt less to just keep on playing. And near the end of the day, there was a man that was walking toward me, and he was reaching in his pocket, and I was thinking, yes, he's gonna put some money in my case. And he pulled out not money, but a Christian tract, which is like a flimsy piece of paper that gave me the 4 steps to salvation. And he was about to put that in my empty violin case when I told him, in shall we say, non-Christian terms, I said, I don't need no Christian tract. What I need is $300 for rent. You got that in your pocket? And I was all grumpy, and he said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. And I said, well, you did. Those Christian tracts are all stacked up on my windowsill at home. I'm going to see which denomination's going to win at the end of the year. And he said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I know. I'll tip you if you play Amazing Grace for me. And I said, okay, I'll play Amazing Grace, but I'll play it so bad and out of tune you won't even be able to tell that it is Amazing Grace. And then you got to tip me because you're a Christian. You got to be a man of your word. And he said, fair enough. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. I said, okay. So I started playing Amazing Grace. So bad and out of tune, you could just barely tell that it was Amazing Grace. But if you listen really closely, you could just tell that it was Amazing Grace. Then an interesting thing happened around the third verse. My fingers started to play the right notes. I was like, hey, fingers, play the wrong notes, but they kept playing the right notes. And then I thought, well, maybe if I play right for him a couple times, he'll give me a bigger tip, and I'll, rather than just get a bus fare home, I could get a Big Mac on the way home or something. And so I played it, and then I noticed that my fingers, as they played the right notes, I started to feel the feelings about how I was treating this man. He was being generous with his presence, and I was angry, just angry waiting to happen. But he was being kind, and I was started to notice that my eye was leaking. Now, when I play Amazing Grace, I usually just play the notes, but on this day, my eye was leaking. Now, when I cry, I usually cry. I make a big, ugly face and I don't want to take out the garbage. I want to watch the Seahawks. But this wasn't anything like that. It was just this gentle leak on my cheek. And I finished the song. Not only was that man standing there, but there was a whole crowd of people standing around listening. And my Christian friend, this time he reached in his pocket, he pulled out $1 bill, and he said to everyone standing here, he said, my friend here needs $300 for rent, and he put his $1 bill into my empty violin case. And then he walked back through the crowd. The rest of the crowd was coming toward me, and he walked away, and he was going away. I said, and they all started putting money in my case, and they started asking me questions that street performers dream of. Questions like, excuse me, sir, do you accept checks? And I was like, yeah. And then they said, do you accept plastic? I said, no, but there's an ATM machine up there. Oh my goodness. And so the next thing you know, not only did I have enough money to pay rent, I had enough money to produce my first demo CD. I'll never see that. I've never seen that person ever again. But his grace honored me. And from that, I learned to honor myself. And I learned to honor others with my skills, gifts, and talents. This is my version of Amazing Grace. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Hope that we can see you again back in person. It'd be great. Like Swil Kanim said, you can find us, Google us, Peter Ali, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Stop by and say hi. Thank you.
Crowd goes wild.